Welcome to our podcast, Happy Household. We appreciate you listening in. Ben and I started this podcast to share some insights on what we have found successful and maybe what wasn't so successful. Our hope is that we can help each of you in some small way while getting to spend some quality time together. We feel the key to a successful relationship is trust and communication. Whether it be with friends, family, or significant others, open communication builds trust and creates a home that can become a happy household.
Hey, Sweet Pea.
What up?
The ceiling.
No, the sky.
Well, the ceiling's up too. We're inside.
Very true.
Very true. Very true.
Very, very true.
So how are you doing?
I'm doing okay.
Yeah.
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 Better than I was yesterday.
You know, at best, we can only take one day at a time.
That's very true.
So, just think. As a matter of fact, there was a quote that I used on the other podcast once. It says, I'm going to paraphrase, and I'm probably going to slaughter it because my memory's not the greatest, but it was like, basically what it was saying is that every day you wake up is a new day to be grateful.
Yep. New day to change your mood.
Yep. That was kind of cool. Oh my gosh, something actually retained inside my head.
Yeah, that's surprising.
Wow. Must have got caught in a cobweb. So, welcome everybody back to the Happy Household Podcast.
Yes.
Which, on any given day, could live up to its name.
We usually have a happy household, but every household has its bad days.
Right. And that just because it's having a bad day and it may not be happy that day still doesn't mean that it's not a happy household, right?
Yeah, very true.
The way that we work through things and the way that we handle things and the way that we process things and all the other things that we do, good, bad, or indifferent, will still make it a happy household. So,
Well, with that said, what did you do this past week that brought the household happiness, and what did you do the past week to grow and learn from something that maybe would have taken away from the happiness?
well, it all kind of falls down to one thing. I've tried to be very supportive to the rest of the people in this household, specifically you and even the kids. I've tried to be that comfort to you when you needed it.
Mm-hmm.
And I tried to be the support for the kids if, for whatever reason, that maybe I was out of a line or maybe they were doing something that needed to be corrected. I tried to find a mature response to each one of those. If there seems to be an issue, like the other day, I got a little snappy with the oldest. It wasn't her fault. It just happened.
Mm-hmm.
So after it being brought to my attention that what I had said was taken a specific way, that I come in.
Which
and
wasn't the way you intended it to come off,
no.
but it came off a different way.
It came off very snappy, very, very hostile. And with that, I come in and I immediately told her, look, I'm sorry you feel this way. That's not what it was supposed to do. And yes, I can see how that came off snappy, and that was my fault. So I tried to, what's the word I'm looking for?
You held yourself.
I tried to accept my responsibility.
Yeah, you
of
held
what
yourself
I did wrong.
you held yourself accountable.
That's what I was looking for.
Not accountable. Accountable. You held yourself accountable for how your tone and what you said came off, rather than saying, well, I was in the right because it's not how I meant it. You took ownership of it. You talked to her and you just said, hey, I was kidding. I didn't intend it to come off this way. So, I next time just come talk to me.
Right.
Because chances are I'm doing 100 other things and it may sound like I'm snappy. I just talk loud.
Right.
I'm surprised you're not part Italian, because you do talk very, very loud.
That's me.
But she's a lot more tender than people give her credit for. And she thought she did something wrong when it was just the whole thing. But I do commend you a lot for taking that accountability, because in your mind, you were like, I knew right off the rip you were joking.
Well, it wasn't the fact that I was really joking per se. It was just the fact that I was trying to get the car because the car had to go back to the dealership for some stuff.
Yeah.
So I had some programming that I had to do before I could take it back.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I didn't, it would mess up a lot of stuff. There'd be a lot of issues. So I had to reprogram my car so I could take it back to the dealership so they could find out what was wrong with it. That requires a specific degree of attention.
Mm-hmm.
I have to constantly watch. I have to constantly watch my programmer. I have to hit the cues when I need to hit them. I need to make sure that if I don't lose any power. Now, there's a whole lot of things that I have to pay attention to.
Right.
And this is gonna sound wrong, but she come up and she got her tone wasn't very well either.
Yeah. She had to be held accountable too.
And she asked what I perceived at the moment a very dumb question.
Mm-hmm.
And now I've always been told that there's no such thing as dumb questions. So that's not probably the right word for it. But she come up and asked me if something was gone out of the fridge. She had pizza. She asked, is all the pizza gone? I'm like, you looked in the fridge, you walked past the fridge.
Precedence everybody by letting you know.
To look. They
were looking for the pizza boxes. I had transitioned them into reusable containers because, as everybody knows, pizza boxes are massive in the fridge. Take up a lot of space, yeah. And so I tried to consolidate it down because, first of all, we had 3 pizza boxes with half pizzas in each one of them. So, we don't need all that stuff.
Right.
But
the fridge isn't that big.
When they opened it in the morning, there was pizza boxes, and when they came home, they opened it. There was no pizza boxes. So in her mind, she's like, "Did somebody eat all the pizza?" Because we had to get her specific pizza because she's allergic to gluten.
Well, we're trying different.
And so she was a little bit frustrated. Like she's trying to maintain this diet, and people keep eating her stuff. And so she probably came off not so nice, and then he came off not so nice, but. To see the interaction between the two of you and I did have to go out to you because Madison came into me and was complaining. And I said, did you talk to him? Like, you can't come in here and play mom versus dad. You just can't do that. It's not how the household runs.
No.
So she said, no, and I'm not going to worry about it. I know he's got a lot going on. So in her mind, she didn't want to bring it up because she knew you were already involved in something and she was trying to be respectful. And I kind of had it at that moment. I was like, you know what? So I went out and I told you, like, just so you know, your tone came off the way you didn't mean it. Can you please talk to her? Because I'm sick of being the middleman here. And y'all need to figure this out for each other. But you ended up holding yourself accountable. She held herself accountable. And I definitely agree. That's something that... And
I appreciate you for doing that because without you coming out and saying, hey, this is an issue, I probably would have never given it a second thought. I'd have just continued on doing what I was doing.
Yeah.
And it would have festered on her side. And that's not fair to her, which...
Well, my big thing is you and I have talked about this, men versus women.
Yeah.
Women will hold on to things until they die. Men are very logical. They can't read our minds, ladies. They cannot read our minds.
No.
We have to speak up. Same with men. You have to speak up. If we've ticked you off, you need to tell us. So between you and I would say it's a blessing that we're able to do that and do it in a form where you don't get mad at me. I don't get mad at you. It's just, hey, heads up. And we don't take it offensively. Even if we've done something to one another, we can say, I did not like that. We need to talk about that.
Right. I still have issues with that.
Well, we both do.
Right.
I feel like we've gotten a ton better since we started dating, but that to me was no different. It was just, I'm much more in the moment. I don't want to deal with it 20 years from now. You coming to me and saying, you remember when you said this to me? No, because you didn't tell me I said it to you in that way. And you didn't explain to me how it impacted you. So how would I have known?
Yeah, and 5 minutes after it done, I've done vented to myself, let it go, and I moved on.
Yeah. So, but we also, I think that's something that I have done a good job of this past week is being more in the moment and not letting it fester. If I'm peed off, I'm going to tell you, I'm ticked off, leave me alone. Here's why.
Yep.
And I think one of the things that I have helped in making the family grow in that is exactly that same thing. Is I went to you and I said, she's coming to me. She's going to come to you, or you need to go to her. This playing against each other, you have to
you have to form that communication piece with the kids. The kids have to form it with you. I can't always be the go-through.
Right.
Like, I'm happy to know.
And you shouldn't be always the go-through.
Correct, because that's going to deepen y'all's relationship. It's going to teach my daughters that you need to speak up for yourself.
Right. Because unfortunately, a lot of kids, they automatically think that people can read their minds.
Yeah.
Because that's what I'm thinking. Why are you not thinking that? Mm-hmm. I'm sure I did it. I almost guarantee I did it as a kid.
Oh, I know I did.
And I know my kids did it as kids.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's just the norm. But by you saying, "Hey, look, this is an issue," it shows her that, okay, Mom approached Ben and said, "Hey, this is the problem." Well, that's simple.
Well, and it showed her that you and I are a united front. Like, you can't come to me and complain about him without me getting him involved. He has a right to defend himself, and you have a right as the child to defend yourself. If you feel like you were you were wronged in some way, respectfully come to one of us and explain it to us. But if it's about the other person, you go to them. That teaches them conflict management.
I don't even mind them. If I do something, I don't even mind them coming to you, because you have a way of mitigating. Yep. Or validating whether what the kids are feeling is true. Like, you know what? You're absolutely right. Go talk to him about that. Whatever. Or, he's absolutely right. That was, whatever the case may be. Mm-hmm. And it helps validate and reaffirm what actually the issue is.
Yeah. And I don't mind it. I don't want to sound like I mind them coming to me, but I have a big thing about justice. And I want to make sure that everybody has a right to lay it on the table and deal with it. I don't want he said, she said, he's talking behind her back. She's talking behind her back. No. That's not how this household is going to operate. We are going to operate respectfully, kindly, and we're going to get the conflict resolved to where everybody feels heard. Right, wrong, and different, that doesn't matter.
Right.
It's that person felt a certain way. Their feelings aren't wrong. They just maybe need a little bit more explanation, or maybe they need to understand that, you know what, I did snap at you. That was not my intention. I was just a little overwhelmed. Can you please forgive me? Something as simple as that.
Right.
We do all make mistakes.
And unfortunately, when I'm in the moment of concentrating, I do not have a lot of compassion in my voice. I have a very loud and very boisterous voice.
You have a very authoritative voice.
Yeah. And I've found that even with doing these podcasts, I have to be very careful with my volume control, because if not, I completely overmodulate everything. So I have a very loud, boisterous voice. And sometimes, a lot of times, if I get into that kind of voice, it can sound very coarse. Do I even say sometimes demeaning?
Yeah.
Maybe?
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily the way it's intended. So.
No, and I think that's because we know your heart and we know that is something that you do struggle with. We're all able to say, okay. And that's a lot of reasons. Madison especially, she seems to be very sensitive to it. I think that comes from issues with her daddy.
I was going to say daddy issues.
But because, she's tried to talk to her own dad and he seems very distant to her. So in her mind, she's thinking, I don't want to be a burden. I don't want to bug anybody. I'm just going to keep it to myself. And we're working with her on saying, you matter. What you feel matters. We are not your dad. But you still have to express what he does with it is his choice.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that what you feel isn't valid and you being able to say it shouldn't happen. So, I think each one of the girls is working on it in their own way. But I do think that that's something that we have really tried to focus on is broader umbrella of communication, but to go in depth is really the tone of voice that we use and speaking up when we have felt wronged, whether it's wronged emotionally. Lizzie tied my other daughter's pant legs together and then left her there because she was being mean, because they were playing and
she thought it was funny at first, but then she took it too far.
And then she said, Evelyn said something, I'm not really sure exactly how it happened, but Lizzie walked away and left her there where she couldn't stand up to come in to get help. So we had to talk to Lizzie about, like, I understand you were mad, but you can't leave her tied up.
I know
That's not cool.
Yeah, I mean, and that partly, I have to take partial responsibility because I've done that with Kayla, right? Goofing around, I'll grab her arm sleeves and I'll tie them together because she always has her arms inside her sleeves anyway.
Backwards sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes. And I told Lizzie, I says, I understand where you were coming from. You thought it was funny. I watched her do it, and Evelyn was not upset about it. I says,
no, she was. They were both playing at first.
But what you did wrong was the fact that you got up and left. I says, I don't do that. I will tie them, and I'll let them struggle for a little bit, tee-hee, giggle, and whatever. Then I untie them. It's time to let it go, right?
Yeah.
And I think she understood.
Well, she hasn't done it since, so I think she understood. But yeah, it's just little things like that of just making sure that the kids feel
putting the corrections in where they're supposed to be as they grow up.
Yeah, but really trying to sit down and like explain the why to the kids, because I think that's just telling a kid no is not going to really, don't touch the stove. Well, honey, I need you not to touch the stove because it's hot and you'll get burned.
That's the difference between a mother and a father. They're like, you think that's hot? Go ahead, try it, see what happens.
Oh, don't think I haven't done that. But my kids also help me cook, so they understand.
Right.
Like, I get them involved in that type of stuff to see where
knowledge is power.
I mean, if you remember the day that we were doing the Vicks because we were having issues with viruses and stuff like that, so we did Vicks over the stove, and the pan ended up blowing up in my face, and it scared everybody in the house, myself included, because I was like, well, that was not what I was expecting to happen.
No.
So like they saw like firsthand, it can go awry real quick, and we've done it 1,000 times. Put a little bit of Vicks in with water, have it steam the house. You stand close to it, sometimes a little bit over it, so it gets into your lungs and it clears out your airways. And then for some reason, this one just...
Well, you want to know why it did that? It's because you had done it once, and so it had that glaze across the top.
I've done that 1,000 times, and it's never done that.
Well, what happened is it was completely covered all the way around, and that heat turned that water and
but
built
it wasn't
the pressure.
Covered completely around. There was air bubbles in there because I had poked air bubbles in there. It doesn't matter exactly what happened.
That's what it was. Is it built pressure, and when it gave, it just. Psh.
But yeah, so I think we just continued to work with the girls about the importance of, and I also think I talked to the girls this week about, I think we talked to the girls about the importance of communicating to somebody how they need to be communicated to while still getting your point across is also a very important thing, because how I may perceive something may not be how you perceive something, may not be how Madison does. Mama, each of us needs at our core level something different emotionally.
Yes.
Kayla and I, when we're upset, leave us alone. Don't ask us 1,000 times, are we okay? Are we okay? No, now I'm not okay because you keep asking me if I'm okay.
Right.
Let me process my emotions. Let me process how I feel before I try to tell you how I feel. I don't know yet. Madison is much more of a quiet one. Lizzie is too. Evelyn is just, she touches her love language until she gets a hug or, a pat on the back or something like that. She's going to feel like she's in the wrong.
And that's the other thing that I've been, over the past couple weeks or so, month, I've been trying to do that. I'm not a real hugger.
Me either. I'm not a touchy-feely type of person.
I'm not touchy-feely. I mean, I
except with you.
Yeah, one of my love languages is touch, physical touch.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of you and I high fives, fist bumps, cool, but I'm not that lovey type feel. I have tried recently, if I have to talk to one of the girls, I try to stand next to him, except for Kayla. Maybe put my arm around him and then talk to him on a personal level.
Yeah.
But that was the other thing that I've been trying to do to help alleviate some of the stress that conversations can bring to get my point across.
I had read somewhere something about hugs can decrease stress depending on like how good the hug is or how many seconds you hug somebody, but I'm not a touchy-feely type of person. I don't usually let people in that bubble unless I really, really trust them. But with all that said and all that we've worked on, we're going to jump into our quiz for the week from the book 101 Quizzes for Couples by Natasha Burton. And the quiz is titled, blending our families.
Oh wow, that was not random.
No. So the first question is, what's your overall impression of my family?
Are we doing one word answers?
No, you have to explain what your
Oh.
overall impression of my family is.
It's a whole ball of crazy.
Hey,
Wait. Let me finish.
crazy fun.
With a huge center of love, because
That about sums up my family.
there's a lot of love amongst the whole family that honestly I don't think I've ever seen in my entire life. But each one of your family members have just a weird touch of crazy.
That's what makes us so fun.
And to be honest with you, and actually I just misspoke, because I have seen this before. I see it with some of my aunts and uncles. Now that I actually think about it, I have a few aunts and uncles that are completely off the rails, but they are to the core.
Our family
Love.
motto is, you mess with one of us, you mess with all of us. Like, that's just how it is. We
Yeah.
are a very tight-knit family. That's not to say that we don't have our bumps in the road, but I know I can call my family at the drop of a hat. I enjoy my family, not just because they're my family, but I enjoy my mom because she's not only my mom, she's my best friend. I can call her from having a bad day and just say, I just need you to sit with me for a minute. I just
Right.
need you to just tell me it's going to be okay.
Yeah, because some idiot's on an off shift is not there at that time.
Well,
I'm j-
or, sometimes when you say
Yeah.
something and I'm like, I just need to process what this feels like.
Right.
Or, I enjoy my brother Josh. He's funny. If people think he's just so stoic and so stone-faced and so serious, I know a different Josh. Like, he's fun. He's a lovable guy. He's very strict, yes, but he has morals, and he's just an amazing human being. But yeah, I would say that's pretty close, aside from like very strong bonded.
You have to get through that shell of crazy to see the love, though. So it's not a very thin shell. I mean, there's crazy there.
Well, I don't like the way you're saying crazy, because we're not crazy, but I know what you mean by that. Yeah.
Yeah, not like lunatic crazy. I'm not talking lunatic crazy.
Yeah, we have a few, we do things a little off the wall for sure. So my impression of your family,
You don't know a lot of them.
I don't know a lot of them, but the ones that I do know is, overall, there's just such a feeling of acceptance.
That's creepy. That's the exact word I was thinking in my head.
Yeah, accepting, but accepting, loving, and kind, I think, is my overall impression of your family. With a slight level of crazy themselves.
There's a little bit crazy there.
There's a reason your daughter and I get along so well.
It runs in the bloodline. I have a few aunts and uncles that are. Ooh.
Yeah, well, overall, they're just such kind people. But they have a mean side.
Oh,
you do not want to be on the bad side.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, overall, I love your family to pieces, and I can't wait to meet them all. And your Aunt Bonnie is hysterical. I said, and your Aunt Bonnie is hysterical.
Yeah.
Especially when my daughter ratted me out in front of like this family reunion. The first time I've ever met half these people. She goes, "Hey, Mom, tell them the story of when you danced on top of the cop car." I'm like, shut your mouth. And then your Aunt Bonnie went, because I was sitting right next to your Aunt Bonnie, because of course your mom talked about Aunt Bonnie all the time.
Yeah.
And she's like, "I need you to meet Aunt Bonnie." Of course, I sat next to her the whole time. And she goes, "Wait, what's this? She may fit in with our family a little better than we thought." And then I had to tell this whole story to people I just met. I'm like, I wanted to murder my child. I'm like, of all stories you could have told, of all the ones you have in your arsenal, that's the one you choose.
I tell you, I will warn you right now. If you have my Aunt Bonnie and my Aunt Karen sitting at the same table,
Oh boy.
you.
I had your Uncle Roger and Aunt Bonnie at the same table.
Well, yeah, he's a little on the crazy side too. But yeah, if they're all in the same spot, ooh, sorry about your luck, buddy.
Yeah, well, It was a lot of fun though.
Right.
Aside from being completely and utterly embarrassed, because then your mom was like, "I want to hear this story too," and I'm like, "Oh man." Well, I guess we're just gonna dive right in.
Right.
So, all right. Next question: who do you connect best with?
You.
I mean, outside of the two of
Oh,
us.
wow.
That's obvious. We're together. We connect pretty well together.
Well, I guess since it's just your brothers and your mom, I would have to say your brother.
Yeah, I was gonna say Josh. For you.
Yeah, Josh is. Josh would be the one that I would probably connect best with.
Yeah. That makes sense. I'd say, it's a tight one between your mom and your daughter.
I think you would fit better with my daughter than my mom.
But I can talk with your mom. Like I can talk with Kate too. I think they're equal for us.
Yeah.
But from a personality standpoint, I don't know. I enjoy them both so much. I think they're equal for me.
Okay.
I connect both with your mom and your daughter. And then I'd have to say Corey after that because Corey's just funny. Okay, number 3. How do you see yourself fitting in with my family?
Well, I think actions sum it up. They all the entire family has a sense of humor,
Mm-hmm.
and me, I have a sense of humor.
Well, let's just put it this way, ladies and gentlemen. After like the third time of meeting my family or being around my family, actually, no, that was the second. They were all asking me like, "He's staying around, right?" Like, I was like, "Oh, I hope so." And then by the third time, they were like, "Well, when are you going to propose? Like, you're not going anywhere. You're already inside. We're not letting you go. This is it." I'd say, well.
Yeah.
How do I see me fitting in with family? I'd say I fit in okay.
I would say it's the crazy that blends us all together. We're all about the same degree of crazy.
Yep.
Two peas in a pod.
Yep. We often get
a dozen peas in a pod.
Yeah, we often get you two are perfect for each other. You two are perfect for each other, and it's a lot of it has to do with the families too, because we at the root of everything, I think the reason that we all get along so well is because our values are the same.
Yeah.
We all
Yeah.
prioritize family. We all prioritize money is not a thing for us. It's taking care of one another. It's being there for one another. It's building that relationship. So I think at the core we are the same. Yeah.
I agree.
All right, next question. How often do you think we should visit our families?
More than we do.
Does this include like we're at the point where we have to put them on our calendar to like make time because we're so crazy busy?
Yeah, life is busy. I mean, and we're not like across the road or nothing.
We live like 45 minutes away from our
we're a
house.
half hour, 45 minutes away from just about everybody.
Yep.
And just now my folks, they're both retired, so they have time. But your mom works, we work.
Yep.
I work opposite shifts of everybody. So it's hard.
We do try at least once a month though. If not once
Yeah.
a month, but every a month and a half.
Yeah.
We try to
put everybody on the calendar.
we try to, even if it's just in person, it's about every month and a half. Phone call, about every other week.
Yeah.
Mine's every week. I call my mom every week. I talk to her almost every day, actually.
We're not going to say how much I do that. 'Cause it's not enough.
No. And you and I have had that conversation.
Next question.
Yeah, we're just going to move past it. All right. Final question. How do you feel about sharing holidays with our families, or would you prefer to switch off?
From the simplistic mind, I think it'd be great to have one day with everybody, so I'd have the rest of the days to do something else.
Get the family day one and done.
Yeah, one and done. I mean, no, I understand where that's not feasible. We have so much family in such a wide area, it's not possible.
I'm not opposed to either, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because I'm still very close with my ex-husband's family. So I have like your family, my family there. So if we could all get together, great. I've done it like that. But scheduling is our biggest thing. So I'm happy with either one. We actually have 5 more questions. That actually wasn't our last question. Sorry about that, guys. Next question. How do you think our families would interact with one another? Fine.
Fine.
Yep. Number 7, is there anyone in your family or mine whom you wouldn't want around our children?
That's kind of a tough question.
I don't think there's anybody I wouldn't want around my kids.
Yeah, I think I'm trying to dig deep throughout my entire gene pool.
I think this is just immediate family. Like,
Yeah,
I don't think there's anybody
No.
that I wouldn't want around.
Although I think I would probably want to subject my Uncle Roger away from him a little bit. Just because he's crazy.
Builds character.
He's not like a bad crazy.
He's a good guy.
He's just goofy as all get out. Sometimes
they're already goofy enough. They don't need any more exposure to that.
That's what I was getting at. Yeah.
But no, I don't think there's anybody in either one of the families.
No. Okay. I would trust him around any of them.
Yeah. All right. Number 8. Who would you want to take care of our kids should something happen to us?
Honestly, if I had to choose out of the immediate family, I would probably choose your brother.
Really?
Josh. For the simple fact that our parents are way too old to be subject to that kind of stuff, to be responsible for him all the time. Josh is still young, and he has kids. I mean, unfortunately, it would be a little overwhelming because he already has 4 kids. But I think he would be the best to be able to withstand that kind of pressure.
I would say my mom. And the only reason I say my mom, well, there's multiple different reasons because, well, she raised me and she didn't do such a bad job.
No.
Josh already has kids of his own.
Yeah.
I lived with mom for a long time, so it wouldn't be really that much of a difference for my kids. And if they were to lose me, that would already be hard enough on them.
Right.
And my mom is the closest piece of me that they're going to get. I know she's going to love them as if they're her own.
Right.
Because she already does.
I agree.
I know she can handle it. She's healthy. She's good. She's got many, 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 many years left. And to be honest, it's not that I wouldn't trust anybody else, but I know that's where they would feel most secure.
Right. And you're absolutely right. And I agree with all of it. The only thing that was on top of mine is kind of a respect thing for me. Your mom has already done her time.
Yeah, I know.
She's already raised kids, right? It's time for her to enjoy the sweeter side of adulthood. And that is the only factor that had changed my view. Everything you said is absolutely correct. It probably would be easier for your mom to do it than Josh. But I would want your mom to be able to enjoy, be a grandmother and not a mother all over again.
But if you know my mom, she would give anything to...
I know.
Unfortunately, I'm sure the court would side with the dad, which would be horrific not horrific, I shouldn't say horrific, but would not be what the kids would want.
Detrimental to the kids, not from the fact that it's their dad, but because they'd be
cut
so
off
far away from the people they see on a regular
yeah.
basis.
Their whole village, they'd be away from. Number 9, who do you think I would get along best with from your family? I was going to say my brother Josh.
Because I don't have any siblings, so it'd be aunts and uncles. I would just have to say just about everyone.
Have a daughter, a mom, a dad?
Well, yeah. I would have to say, to look at them as a whole, just about every one of them you'd get along with just fine.
That's not the question. It's who I get along with best.
Creepy factor? My daughter.
Why is it creepy?
Because she's my daughter.
So?
I know, but that's because of the age. There's 8 years between us. And there's 8 years between you and her. So it's like you're right in the middle, but I think...
I'm the bridge between the two of you. Is that what you're saying?
No, I think you would get along. My daughter's quite mature for her age. So I think she's more on a mental level as you are. And my aunts and uncles they're all crazy just like you. So I think it would be a complete toss.
You guys heard that first. He called me crazy.
Yes, I did. Well, you said yes. You got to be a little bit crazy.
I said yes because I'm of sound mind and body. I know a good man when I see one. All right, number 10. Who do you think I would butt heads with the most in your family?
That's a tough question. Probably my daughter.
Yep, because we are so much alike.
I don't... My Aunt Karen, you guys might bump heads quite a bit.
I don't know your Aunt Karen. So
no, just because... And not necessarily in a bad way, but And I don't see my Aunt Karen very often, but what I do know, no, I'm wrong. Yeah, you guys get along just fine. Never mind.
What about John, Kayla, Corey?
No, I don't think you would butt heads. They're really quite laid back.
Yeah.
Corey is probably the most. Well, John is the most probably out of the three of them.
Mm-hmm.
That would be not necessarily opinionated, but he would be the one that would probably be more upfront to say, yeah, no. The other two, they would think it. I don't think they'd be like, yeah, okay, whatever, and then go on upon their way. They're not very confrontational. Kate, sorry, kid, you do have a very high probability of being confrontational.
She's passionate. She's not
Oh,
confrontational.
okay, that's more of a PC way of saying it.
She's my fear for Kate.
She's amazing.
She's an amazing kid. She's an amazing woman. She's not even a kid. She's an amazing woman. My fear for Kate, she's going to get misunderstood because she's very hard-shelled.
Yep.
And she has, this is just my opinion, she has a softer heart than she lets on.
Yeah, way soft.
And it's going to take love and support to let her know it's okay to be vulnerable.
Yep.
It's okay. You're in a safe space.
She has one hell of a thick hide, though.
Well, you learn to be that. But I don't foresee me butting heads with anybody. I may disagree, but I don't really consider that butting heads. Like, I'm pretty chill.
Yeah.
I'm like, whatever. Your opinion's your opinion. I'm not going to tell you how to feel. Whatever. Like,
I don't see me butting heads with any of your family.
No. If I had to pick somebody,
Michael.
Well, that's kind of already happened.
Yeah, I mean, but
that was because he disrespected me and you did not. That did not bode well with you.
But before he did that, though,
his attitude is much different than yours. His personality is much. If I had to choose, it would probably be Michael because
I think so.
There's a difference of opinions on a lot of things there. That'd probably be the one that I would choose if I had to choose somebody.
Yeah, he'd be the first one. And we wouldn't really butt heads. It'd be like, you know what?
You're more apt to walk away than argue.
Oh yeah. Yep.
He's much more of an arguer.
Like, you can say what you want, but
you're gonna be talking to a brick wall.
Peace.
Anyway.
Yep.
With that, we're gonna wrap things up. We appreciate you guys taking the time to listen, share, comment. We appreciate all the support.
Like,
share with your friends. We'd love to have everybody's thoughts, comments, questions. We look forward to hearing from you guys. You can
Facebook, YouTube, Spotify.
Yep.
Those are the three main ones, and there's some others too, but I'm not exactly sure what they are.
You can email us at happyhouseholdpodcast@gmail.com.
Yep.
Now that we've done our spiel for the evening, we hope that you guys have a very, 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 very wonderful weekend. Enjoy that family time. Enjoy that you time. Don't forget yourself in that because you do matter. What you feel matters. And stress is a bitch. So take the time you need to de-stress. That is my advice for the week. If it's simply just one thing, you take 5 minutes a day and you close your eyes and you go outside or you do whatever you got to do for 10 minutes a day.
Yep.
Breathe, relax. You are important.
Yep.
You matter.
Do what spas do best. Find a mud hole.
And
sink yourself in it. Yep. Mud is relaxing, whether it's with a machine or in a very quiet, small room.
Whether it's a spa
or out in the woods.
Or, in your driveway. People have mud poles in their driveway, so, whatever.
We got a couple in the backyard.
Yeah, we do. But with that said, I hope you guys have a great week, and we'll talk at you next week.
Bye.
Bye.